Did any of you start your day with a shot of whiskey and then continue to take a shot every few hours throughout the day? Probably not. However, if you slept for less than 7 hours last night, the effect is practically the same. Hello, my name is Matthew Getz, and today I would like to take a few minutes to talk about an issue that is actually labeled by the CDC as an epidemic across America. Studies have shown that sleep is one of the most important and unfortunately most neglected aspects of life. Fortunately, sleep is cheap, easy, and very comfortable, and it's one of the easiest ways to help extend your life and also give you a much more comfortable life throughout. Now, sleep deprivation causes serious issues such as hypertension, depression, and anxiety. These effects are so severe, in fact, that certain studies have labeled shift work as a carcinogen. Students certainly feel the effects of sleep deprivation all the time, and a lack of sleep is almost seen as a badge of honor when someone wants to stay up late, either completing a research paper or cramming for an exam. The CDC has 5 known issues that are related to sleep deprivation: diabetes, cardiovascular disease, stroke, obesity, and depression. In fact, there's a quote by Matt Walker that should be honestly a lot more famous than I think it is, but it only takes 1 hour. And we know this because there's a global experiment performed on 1.6 billion people across the globe twice a year. On daylight savings time, whenever we lose an hour of sleep in the spring, we see a 24% increase in heart attacks. In addition to this, there are more roadside accidents, and suicide rates also go up with this. Now, with this information laid out, what can we do to combat the effects of sleep deprivation? Well, obviously, the answer is sleeping more. And to start with that, we have to start with better sleep education across the board. It really needs to start at the top with healthcare professionals. Unfortunately, many of the issues that people come to with doctors can maybe not be cured, but certainly treated better, and would allow patients to get better faster if they had better sleep. It would be a great foundation for them to get well. In addition to this, a societal perspective change needs to occur. Proper sleep should not be seen as shameful when someone gets their full 8 hours of rest. In addition to this, bad sleep should not be rewarded. Again, as I said, when someone wants to stay up to either finish a project, study for a test, or even if they just like to stay up to try and get more time throughout their day. There is, however, a genetic mutation that does allow certain people, known as short sleepers, to get by on about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. A lot of people may see themselves as short sleepers, but this is a genetic mutation that is exceedingly rare and is even seen as less likely than getting struck by lightning throughout your lifetime. So, for people who are not short sleepers, what would life look like with better rest? Well, like in spring when we see an increase in heart attacks, there's also a 21% decrease in heart attacks in autumn whenever we get that 1 hour of sleep back. There's also less roadside accidents, and again, suicide rates also go down. The brain is effectively washed during sleep and actually reduces the amount of toxins in your brain that build up throughout the day. Now, these toxins are strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease, and in fact, the sleep is one of the most effective ways, seen in several studies, to be an effective fight against Alzheimer's disease. In addition to this, hormonal regulation is put back in balance. Obesity and weight gain are both combated by proper hormone regulation, and mental health would also improve by having the proper hormones that regulate anxiety and depression. There's also likely fewer financial mistakes that would be made. There's an estimated $2 billion in financial errors that are caused by fatigue-related errors. Lastly, student scores and lives would improve drastically across the country. There have even been a few select schools that have started their hours later throughout the day, and what these schools have seen is that not only are their student scores improving for tests and other important factors, but their driving has also become a lot safer, and there's less roadside accidents for teens in these schools that have done these tests. Now, what can we do on a day-to-day basis to improve our sleep? Well, for starters, we can have better sleep hygiene. This includes consistency, and this is probably the most key thing you can do. Going to sleep the same time every night and waking up the same time every day, even on the weekends, is the most effective way to increase your sleep quality. In addition to this, you can do things like regulate your temperature. 65 degrees is probably the most ideal for most folks. In addition to this should be seen as probably common knowledge, but lighting is one of the easiest things that we have in control in our day-to-day lives. We live in a modern age where we can control how much darkness we have. So a good habit to make would be about 2 hours before you go to bed at night, go ahead and turn off half the lights in your home. This allows your brain to start switching gears, and it allows you to get better, more well prepared to sleep at night. So these steps will improve your sleep, and fortunately, sleep, as I said, is a cheap, easy way to feel better and give you an overall improvement in your quality of life. Thank you.